All right, SHL, THL, we are live after 18 minutes of figuring out what the fuck was going on behind the scenes, but hopefully things are working. But tonight we are having a legendary episode of After the Salt Settles, featuring myself, Nade, Lemur, Ridiculous Hat Mange, and Knackle, the Spackle Daddy, the vet ass host coming back for this finals SHL hype that we're going to be doing. Um, Gentlemen, how y'all doing tonight?
Doing great, man.
Hey, Nade, did you change the scene?
I changed the scene.
Oh, there we are. Never mind. Just took 30 seconds. We're good.
I'm at still. He has that ridiculous beanie on.
Yeah. It's because I got this ridiculous bandage. Forgive me if I'm a little loopy. I got this big old head injury to worry about.
We tried so hard to get him to do this stream without that hat on, but alas,
Yeah.
we
Nah.
Maybe if chat harasses him, we could take that ridiculous hat off and see what a real man looks like.
Oh, please.
See, I myself look like a homeless bum right now. I have crazy hat hair, ridiculous hat hair, pun intended. I gotta stop. But I still pull it off. But anyway, we also have Lemur here in the house. Lemur.
You're supposed to have Lemur.
Lemur was. Well, Lemur was trying to figure out Skype on his phone. It worked moments ago, but in the end,
it didn't even matter. Press F for Lemur.
After all that time, we don't get to be blessed by Lemur's presence.
Just like the old days of ATSS, nothing fucking works when we don't start on time.
Nothing works.
It's perfect. Right. It's like everything we ever wanted.
Well, hey, Lemur was going to get us started in reviewing last week, but Mange, why don't you take us through a review of last week being the first round of playoffs, given that you were there?
I was there. So on the yellow side, actually don't know if that's yellow, gold, yellow, whatever that is. We had Pocahontas in Space up against the Doghouse. And just speaking from the Pocahontas in Space, just pissed. Speaking from a piss perspective, we were very scared of the Doghouse. We thought that they had a very good roster with D lineman, Phenom, the Anarchist Avatar, and Jim Philo. But just to talk a little bit about the match, Cassidy 14 ended up beating D lineman again. That was the second time in 3 weeks. G-Nets took revenge over Phenom after Phenom had beat G-Nets previously. And the Doghouse got their one match win with Jim Philos beating Rogue 3-1 after Rogue had swept him in week 6. So I'm curious to hear your guys' perspective on that match, especially Salt's, as someone that covers SHL regularly.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a lot closer than it actually was, because I was pretty hype on the Doghouse at the beginning of the season. I thought their roster looked very strong, and they had some ups and downs during the season, but I thought that they would give Piss a run for their money last week, and it just didn't happen. Jim Philos picked up his win against Rogue, which I would have picked Rogue, to probably win that match, despite I think, 1-3. So, I mean, that's no good. But all the rest of them, Cassidy beating D Lyman, that's really good. And the rest of you guys are really good. But if I had to, at the beginning of the season, I would say that the Doghouse should have played y'all a little bit closer. But, I mean, great job.
Hello?
Hello.
Lemur! You can hear me now.
We can hear you now.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna freak out. I'm so confused. Like, I don't understand.
Well, welcome to the show that you're a host of.
Yeah, hi. How are you guys?
Welcome to the show.
We're doing very well. All right, we got our lemur back. Mange and Knackle were just covering last week, the first round of the playoffs with Pocahontas
Yep.
versus the Doghouse.
Yep. That was good.
What were your
Pocahontas.
expectations for that one?
Obviously one of the best contenders SHL's ever seen.
Pretty stacked team.
Yeah, Piss is so hot right now.
I mean, to be
Okay.
completely fair, any team that combines the power duo of Mange and Cassidy just can't lose games, right?
Yeah. Yeah, any team with that combination is going to be golden.
All right, continue whatever you were doing. Don't let me interrupt you. It's fine.
It's
Act like I'm not here, like I wasn't for a while.
just piss puns all night, huh? Is that what's going on here?
I actually wrote down a whole bunch of them, so if you think that I'm out of puns, you're in for a surprise.
Arhat has been dying to make it rain piss jokes.
I mean, I had a few hours in the hospital to think of all this, you know.
So, what were your expectations going into that matchup, Pat? Did you have any at all?
Well, I was actually going to ask you guys about the Doghouse. Looks like this super stacked team, and on the regular season they went 3-4. What happened there? Like, why did that team struggle so much?
Talking with C. Parker a little bit, who is the captain of Doghouse, you know, they had some different plans for their roster that kind of fell through last second, and it kind of forced him to scramble and change up that bottom half of the lineup. So I think that if he could have gotten like the full roster that he wanted, they would have ended up being much more competitive. But because it fell through last minute, his options were limited, and I know that he ended up picking up, I want to say, the Avatar, he's brand new to competitive Hearthstone play, and probably should have started a little bit lower than the 3 seed, or I think he was the 4 seed this week. Really good player, but just he was punching above his weight a little bit. So I think that just the bottom half of the roster struggled.
Yeah, I'm looking up now, and the Avatar went 3-4, just like the team, and it looks like Jim Philos as well struggled a little bit. He was 2-5 in the regular season, so that makes a lot of sense. The teams that are, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, he dumpstered Rogue's bitch ass, so it's fine, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's
Look at
definitely
this.
like a big upside, and I want to make sure that he gets props for it. He figured it out in the playoffs. He won the match that mattered. He made Giuseppe feel bad, so that's really important. But 2-5 in the regular season, the teams that are light on the bottom ends of the roster, especially in SHL, it seems like they're going to have trouble stringing together wins, just because the 1 seeds are all pretty strong this season, from what I can tell, or at least the ones for a lot of the teams that were in playoff contention and played the first round of playoffs.
Yeah, Cassidy and D Lineman, like just in this matchup alone, Cassidy versus D Lineman had to be an incredible match.
Well, they're the only 2 500 PR players in the league, correct?
Yep.
They're the 2 highest players in the league, and it's not really
quite a
close.
margin, I think.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. But it's what do you guys think about Kawasaki Ninja's rule? It's they had a pretty successful week last week as well.
Yeah, they did. I know that Kawasaki played Teams Energy last week, or they played them last week in that quarter or semifinal. But they also played against them in week 5, and I know that they lost to them in a tight one, 11-12. So it was really interesting to see how they turned it around this week.
Yeah, it's a really it shows their character as a team to lose a really, really heartbreaking series when you know it had to come down to like the last game. And for them to lose like that and then bounce back and beat them in the playoff and conquer that demon is pretty telling of how Kawasaki Ninja's rule is going to approach the series against Piss, in my opinion. They're going to go in and they're going to play scrappy and do everything they can to win.
Yeah, seems pretty solid, and I think it speaks to some of the more consistent players on the team that have been around for a while. You look at last season, Delsaver, Clobbered, and Merkin Pie are all returning players, and every single one of them has improved their record pretty dramatically. We'll talk about this more when we get a little bit further on, but Merck and Pi had a sweep against Red Marsh that was pretty pivotal in getting Kawasaki Ninja's Rule to the finals.
Yeah, and that sweep of Red Marsh, that comes after he originally lost to Dexter. He was actually a seed lower and lost to Dexter in week 5. So really interesting that he played up a seed after that week 5, winning some games, moving up to the 3 seed, and then sweeping Red Marsh, who I believe to be a very strong 3 seed. So kind of an incredible turnaround for him.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that Dexter is his only loss on the entire season.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Dexter Hearthstone is a formidable force in SHL. Gotta watch out.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a mainstay of both leagues for a while, and I will tell you, there's no one that has more heart than Dexter, that puts more effort into the game and into making connections with players, but also he just seems to love both leagues and the league environment. So it was good to see him have that success as well, and Team Synergy did pretty well this season, all things considered.
Yeah, and he really improved as a player, this season too. He had a much better season than he had, prior.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, his last season was not as successful as he would have liked, but this season he was 5-2. I mean,
you can't beat that.
That's a solid record.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5-2 is very good, especially in a format like Last Hero Standing, where you have to know how to play multiple decks very well, just in case. Like in Conquest you have to play more decks well, but in Last Hero Standing, you have to play those decks incredibly well to be able to win multiple times when you know your opponent is probably going to bring a class that's good against that class. And you have to win some unfavored matchups the majority of the time if you're going for the sweeps and stuff. So the fact that he was able to win 5 series out of 7 that he played is very telling of how he's improving as both a Hearthstone player and as a captain, in my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, last season Dexter went 4-2. This season going 5-2, and you're right. Especially in this meta, Last Hero Standing, you're gonna get counter queued just because there's no really dominant deck. The best one, I guess, is Aggro Shaman. That was the best deck by about a few percentage points in most matches. But otherwise, pretty much every deck had a pretty solid counter to it. And if someone built their lineup correctly, you could face an unfavored matchup, and to win like that in LHS, you really gotta understand the nuances of each matchup and play to your outs and play to unfavored situations and come away the winner.
And one thing with Dexter is he's been sitting on top of the 4 seed all season in SHL. And what we know from Dexter, from his history in THL and these last couple of seasons, SHL, he's a solid 5 to 4 seed player. Now his PR is climbing up there, and he's going to be on the cusp of a 3 seed. I'm very curious to see how he does if and when he gets there, because let's be real, if he keeps going seasons playing at 70% win percentage, he's going to be a 3 seed in no time. I think he could do well, but I'd be curious to see when the time comes.
Yeah, like he's nearly past Red Marsh as it is. Red Marsh sitting at 355 or 354 PR, and Dexter sitting at 339. So he's well on his way, nearly there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all have recognized the amount of work that he put in, and just watching his improvement from a year ago to now is just incredible. So great job for him, great job for Team's Energy. But ultimately they did lose to Kawasaki. So
yeah, I mean, you want to talk about a team that improved. If we want to talk about the path that each team took to get here, Kawasaki Ninja's Rule, I got the records in front of me. Last season, Delsaver went 4-4, Merkin went 5-1, and Clobbered went 2-5. This is a team that made the first round of playoffs. They limped in. They lost in the first round of playoffs. They were able to be successful in what seemed to be a weaker division, but all told, they didn't have what it took to really compete all the way up to that final slot. Now, Delsaver is 6-2. Merkin is 6-1. Clobbered is 4-3. Every single member on that team has improved significantly, and they added In Position and Scowls 44, both new to the league, and both are right around a 50% win rate. You got In Position is actually at 3-5, and Scowls at 4-4. But this is a team that every person on this roster is capable of generating a win, and the 1 and now the 3 seeds. And Merkin started. You look there, Delsaver was the 2 seed and Merkin was the 5 seed. They have earned their spots, their promotions within their team. Delsevier is a very impressive 1 seed with a 6-2 record, and Merkin working his way up to the 3 seed and only losing to Dexter. I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
The thing is though, Arhat, you can say all that about Kawasaki Ninja's rule, that they improved that much and that they did a fantastic job, which they did getting there. But then you look at the path that Pocahontas and Space took to get to the spot they are right now, and it's just a path of destruction. They've torn through every single team that's come up to face them. They haven't even had any competition yet, and in true THL, SHL, Mange Cassidy fashion, they're going to lose in the finals.
Hey,
Well,
Lemur, fuck yourself.
Right. We'll get the predictions shortly, I'm sure.
I mean, you don't think that Piss will be number 1?
I do. They're number 1 in all of our hearts.
Dude, you did that.
And they go so well with the overlay for this stream.
No, it's not our overlay. Jesus Christ.
Oh, he doesn't.
Pay attention, Lemur.
He doesn't even know what our
Pay attention.
overlay looks like. That's amazing. I should pull up what our tentative overlay is gonna be.
I'll load it up to enter and know it in chat.
Mange would love to
Yeah,
see it.
throw that overlay in chat.
Yeah, just so everyone could see it.
So we took a look at last week, but really there's been storylines across the whole season, the paths that they took here.
Yeah, well, I mean, the story of Piss is, it's a long tail. We have time to let it trickle through the stream. But Mange, talk to me about why you give a shit this season. Because last season it doesn't look like you did.
I didn't. I think that last season a lot of people had high expectations for Piss, including ourselves. We were kind of like hyping ourselves up. Me and Gina, it's like, it's a new league. We're really established CHL players. Like, we're going to dominate this shit. But what actually happened was Hearthstone was really shitty, and I just did not give a fuck. I was just really focused on Team Rank 5 and making sure that we were doing well. And to be honest, I neglected the SHL side. After the season, I felt pretty poorly about it. I personally was 2-2. I know Rogue was 3-4, and
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that him and I were going to be better this season because that's what Captain Pumas and Gina, they all deserve that. So, we were better individually. We added Cassidy and Pumas to the 5-man roster, and that kind of, things took off. So.
Yeah, well, and you look at the records, Mange, Cassidy, and Pumbas all have 7 wins so far in an 8-week season, which is crazy. Cassidy has yet to lose a match. The only week he didn't play, he got Parker to sub for him. Parker won, so the 1 seed is a perfect 8-0. Pumbas in the 4 seed is 7-1. And Mange, he was 2-2 last season, including a very uncharacteristic DQ. And now he's 7-1 this season. 7-1. And I will say that Hearthstone, maybe not in the best place right now, still better than the mid-shaman meta. But maybe not in the best place right now, but still, Mange managed to put together a strategy in LHS that was able to generate a really, really nice win percentage.
Yeah.
And GNets is as consistent as always.
Yeah.
Just don't look at his THL record.
I mean, we will later.
We don't have Lemur holding us down.
Yeah. Lemur, I'm actually going to ask your opinion on a Pumbas and GNets team. What do you think about that combination? Do you think it's effective?
I think that I love both of these individuals very much. They're like family to me, and we have been on Avatar for all 3 seasons, no matter how much we actually shit on each other. I think that Pumbaa's BFF is very, very good at motivating people and getting the ideas swirling and getting people to submit classes. He's very good at the captaining duties, and I think that GNets is a good offset for that, as GNets is like the mind behind everything in that duo. He'll come up with crazy, really bad ideas and then get them ironed out, and then they'll turn into something good. So I think both of them working together is definitely something you have to think about when you're going against them, and you have to realize that you're going to get the really, really good captaining coming from Pumbaa's in SHL, not THL. And then also, getting the really, really strong mental game that G-Nets brings, along with Cassidy and Mange. They're very good at that as well. They're very good at shifting the game how they want to how they want to play it, and like preparing for matchups and doing their research and stuff like that. So I think just overall their team is very, very solid, and then they just picked up a shitter in Rogue JT, but the rest of it is really, really good.
I don't know. I mean, they picked up a shitter, but for what, 150 PR?
Yeah, which is great.
Rogue did his job for his PR for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. He got his 3 wins.
Oh, our hats identifying with piss.
Yeah, I know. I'm just really excited. I hope that this weekend we can get some streams of piss facing off against the Kawasaki Ninja. I just think that'd be really exciting.
See him reading off of his notes over there.
I have it written down, streams of piss facing off.
Streams of piss.
Now you get me all hot and heavy.
Yeah, it's just like a board meeting in here.
You're right.
I don't know what you're talking about. What does that have to do with anything?
It's nothing.
So what were your expectations for Kawasaki and Piss heading into this season?
If I recall correctly, I thought that both teams would make the playoffs. I actually thought that the Doghouse would be the best team in gold. It just didn't pan out over the course of the season. And I stuck with the Doghouse for a long time, but you know, they couldn't quite beat y'all. And you know, Piss surprised me during the season. I mean, I knew that, you know, y'all got a good group of guys, but with the Hombres and THL, and then y'all were also playing in SHL, I kind of wasn't sure, you know, where the team, you know, mindset would be for SHL for y'all, and I'm glad y'all had a really good season. Well, very impressive season. And as far as Kawasaki Ninja's rule, they did okay last season. And I thought that they would improve a little bit. So, I mean, I at least expected them to make the playoffs. I'm not sure how much farther, you know, I thought that they would get, you know, than the first round. But they beat Defias pretty handily. So I think it's going to be a good finals.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as expectations, I think both of your teams were picked as playoff favorites, you know, at the beginning.
And it has come full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the purple division, I might have gone with Explosive Sheep over Kawasaki Ninja's rule. We didn't know much about Bitbeaker or Eridan at the time, but we knew Dyrus Bear and Markshire were pretty reliable. And yeah, this Doghouse roster, like, anytime you start a roster with D Lyman, you think there's going to be something here. Yep. And you know, I mean, obviously, Piss is a really strong group, but yeah, I don't know if I would have picked Kawasaki Ninja's rule at the beginning of the season. I'm glad they were able to put it together and just have these really consistent performances.
Well, I want to say that we picked Kawasaki and Explosive Sheep to make the playoffs.
Okay, that makes sense.
And because Explosive Sheep did really well last season, so we, you know, assumed that they would do just as well this season.
Yeah, and it's difficult to make that assumption because of how much has changed from last season to this season, given that we're going from 3-man squads to 5-man teams, right?
Right, right.
You know, each individual did great where they were, and now there's a little more separation. Yeah, there's less weight relying on each individual seed, but in the end, it's a lot of points that you got to score over the end of the season. So, I don't know, when you look at Kawasaki Ninja's rule with starting with 3 brand new players to the league and then adding an additional 2 brand new players to the league, I didn't have high expectations for them. But, you know, I'm really glad to see that they proved me wrong. You know, I love these types of stories where it's not the people you expect, you know, who everybody knows, and you know, these powerhouses like every name that you see on Piss, you know, to come out with this type of success.
Right.
my expectations for Piss was this, to be honest. Like, there's no way you look at this team and think that they're gonna fumble.
Right.
Just wait until next week.
We'll see if that team rank 5 curse is going to travel over here, or maybe the curse has been lifted after last season.
I think so.
The curse is dead. It's dead as fuck.
I mean, last season was pretty definitive, if I do say so myself. That was the 72 Dolphins right there.
It was.
All right. Anyway, what are we going to talk about now? We can talk about, what about week 3 when Piss faced off against Kawasaki Ninja's rule? How'd that go for you, Mange? What was your thought process going into that?
That was still really early in the season. I think you said week 3, right? So we didn't really know how all the other teams were going to shake out. They were just another team in our schedule. And for me personally, it was just I was just trying to find a lineup that I liked in SHL because it really is a lot different than Conquest. The format is just so much different. So I was still struggling with that a little bit. I do think I ended up winning my. I think that we ended up doing pretty well in that match overall as a team. I don't know the exact score off the top of my head, to be honest, but
16 to 7.
Yeah, 16-7. Yeah, so we beat up on a little bit, but that was a long time ago.
Right.
And since then, Kawasaki Ninjas has really took it to the rest of the league, and I think only have one loss from then on out. So that doesn't really matter a whole lot at this point. It's a whole new match for us, and we're not going to be resting on any laurels or anything like that.
Yeah. So basically, what you're telling me right now is that you beat Kawasaki Ninja's rule so bad that they've gone on a path of war just to get another chance to face off against Piss in the SHL finals. Now, if that doesn't tell you that there's some drama in this, I don't know what does.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that, or what I would just say is that they are a very strong group of players, very balanced 1 through 5, and it just showed that was just how good they were. I don't think there's any motivation going on. They're just really good.
What's most impressive for these two teams is, you two scored the most points to get to where you are now, but compared to the rest of the league, you've let up significantly less points. Kawasaki Ninja's rules only allowing 75 points on the season to their opponent, and Piss only 56 points to their opponent in 7 weeks. That's insane defense.
Defense wins championships.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at Kawasaki, they took a little bit longer for their lineup to gel a little bit, but I mean, they still have some really impressive win margins here. Like week 2, actually, they beat the Doghouse 18-5. Right, that's pretty crazy. Piss only beat them 14-11, and you look at week 6, they beat Lore Walker Nachos 18-6. This is a team capable of putting together some blowout wins here. I think the names might not be as recognizable because this is a team that hasn't had as much crossover success in THL. It's really specific to SHL, and that's something that...
Yeah, it's just SHL. I'm pretty sure the only player to play in THL is in position, correct?
Yeah, well, and he's new to THL this season, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and then Delsaver subbed one week this week, but Kawasaki Ninja rules are an SHL team born and bred. We may not know as much about them, but you look at them beating the Doghouse 18-5. That says a lot to me. They might have faltered a little bit against the league's best team, and I will say there was a DQ loss to Piss when they played. Merkin DQ'd. So
right.
That could very well have swayed it. Yeah, that could very well have swayed it so that the match looked a lot closer than 16-7 would indicate. That's a number on paper that doesn't tell the full story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you look at what a championship really means for these teams, right? Kawasaki in particular, an SHL team, born and bred, starting in the sister league, in the little brother, so to speak, and transforming into a 5-man squad that is capable of going all the way to the championships and winning it over some really established THL greats. That's like David and Goliath, right? This is the Falcons versus the Patriots, except the Falcons get to win this time. Maybe.
Oh, no, you know for a fact that we've got our boys over at Kawasaki Ninjas Rule, the born, raised, purebred SHL team. They're going to conquer the invaders from THL. There's no way that Pocahontas in Space pulls this off.
I'd love that story.
I wouldn't.
Well, what would it mean for Piss if Piss were to take this home? They continue another one of their dominant team rank 5 level sweeps.
What would it mean? I don't know. I don't think that I can answer that for the rest of the team. We just kind of expected that we'd end up in here, and we haven't really thought about anything after that. So, obviously, we really want it. Winning is cool. Winning a championship is even cooler. But we haven't given it a lot of thought about what it would mean, or and nothing with legacies or anything like that. So.
Sounds just like a New England Patriot. That's the Belichick answer right there.
By the way, Delcaver has confirmed in chat there is drama.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I want deets. But yeah, for Piss, it's some THL vets who can add a second championship under their belt. It's some other THL vets who can get their first one. For Kawasaki Ninjas Rule, this would be their first championship within our Hearthstone League. And for a bunch of new faces, this would really say a lot for them. I got the opportunity to work with Del Sever a little bit last week, when he subbed for us. I know that, based on what he shared with me, that he's been trying to make a debut in DHL for some time, and we all know Imposition has been fighting his way to get on a team for a couple seasons now. I wouldn't be surprised if the rest of the crew might be trying to do the same. So I think it would mean a lot to them to show THL that they're capable to roll with the punches, and might find a face and a new home on a THL squad next season, or they might just kind of hang in SHL and try and bring in raise another flag for another season. I don't know. In me personally, like I mentioned before, I root for the underdogs. I look as the Kawasaki Ninjas Rule as I'm hoping that they get this championship. No offense, Mage.
Yeah, fuck you too. Yeah, and for THL captains out there, I mean, just take a look at all of their records. If they want to play in THL, I think that they've done more than enough to deserve a spot. They show that they are competitors and that they're very strong players. So I think that if they want to play in THL, they should all be able to find homes.
I think a lot of captains' reasoning with stuff like that is, oh, it's last year of standing. It's not Conquest, where they're not proven in this format, so how can I trust them? That's BS. I think last year of standing is just as skilled as Conquest, if not more skilled. It's very difficult, and if you can win in last year of standing and you can put in the time and effort to understand the format, you can do that in Conquest too.
Yep.
Cool. Well, that's everything leading up to this week. Salt, why don't you take us through these matchups? Let's talk a little bit about Cassidy versus Delcaver, G-Nets versus Imposition, etc. Thoughts about each individual one?
A lot of good matches. I think the most interesting thing is how the teams are built as far as PR up and down. Piss is very balanced all the way down 1 through 4. So they have a significant PR advantage over Kawasaki Ninjas Rule all the way down. Just based on PR, they look heavily favored to me. So, I mean, it's, as far as Cassidy, Delcaver, that ought to be a pretty good match. Cassidy's great season. I think that he'll continue to do the same, and we've already talked about G-Nets and how good he is. Mange with the great season, 7-1. I think he'll do well against Scales, and then Pumbas and Rogue should do fine against Mercantile and Clobbered. The Pumbas BFF and Mercantile matchup seems to be that's the most interesting to me, I think.
Yeah, I think that one's probably going to be pretty close.
And it may.
Sorry. I don't know. Someone like broke into my house or something.
Oh shit!
Very believable.
Very believable. So I mean, if Mercantile can pick that one up, convincingly, then maybe Kawasaki Ninja's rule has a chance there. But I think that's an important one. I think they can win. The Collaborative is very favored PR wise over Rogue, so that PR speaking, they should pick that one up too. But I like Rogue. He's a good guy. I think he plays well. So, but I mean, if you take if you say Mercantile pulls it out because he's had a great season, and then Collaborative wins, and they need to pick up one more. Is there any in the the first 3 seeds where we can see them picking up a win?
I think you look at Delcaver, to be honest with you. I think Delcaver is an incredibly strong player. I think Cassidy's a very strong player too, but a lot of the time, 1-seed matchups, if the players are on about similar skill level, it's just going to come down to what cards get drawn when. Whereas in lower seeds, you can usually say, if they misplayed here, here, and here, this is why they didn't win. In matchups where both players are incredibly strong and may only misplay like once, it comes up a lot more to card draw and how they play and play in their specific lineup. So I think that could be a match they could potentially take. I think that's a really interesting one and one that I want to see on stream.
You could also get caught bringing the wrong class, right?
This week they'll play under the new nerfs too, so I don't know. And that's another thing, like not knowing Kawasaki Ninja's rule and knowing the type of player that Mange is, and Cassidy, and then G-Nets and everybody on Piss, is that I think as a group they'll have a better understanding of the new meta, if there even is one. For all we know, it's still all aggro all day, but I think as a team, if I had to pick a team, and like I said, I don't know much about the guys individually at Kawasaki Ninja's rule, but just knowing who Mange and those guys are, I would have to say that their preparation this week will probably be better, in my opinion.
The kind of one thing that you're pointing out is that you think, the players on Piss can adapt pretty well.
I think so, yeah.
Adapt.
They're irrelevant, and we're unsure given just lack of exposure to the personalities
and I could be totally off base. Kawasaki Ninja's rule could have, the best LHS, lineup solved already.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I think Piss will keep things very fluid, and
right.
Yeah.
Just when we thought he didn't have any more.
Oh no, there's always a couple left at the end.
Nice.
All right. Let's get a little bold here, and let's do some predictions. I want to talk top from bottom. Who do you think's gonna win each match? It doesn't have to be by the points. If you want to include by the point, go for it. But for example, I'm gonna run from top to bottom here real quick. I think Del Severa is going to take Cassidy. I think it's going to be close. This is a 3-2 match. But I got to know Del Severa a little bit this week. He's super dedicated. He really takes this seriously, and I know that he's probably wanting this more than Cassidy. It's like football, right? NFL, who wins? Oh,
Right.
they wanted it more. Bullshit. But I'm gonna go ahead and make one of those calls right there. So I'll think Del Sever will win in the 1 seed. I think G-Nets and Mange are gonna take these next two matches in the 2 and 3. And then here's where I don't know where's going to go where. I would put my money on Pumbas. And then it would be a toss-up with Rogue and Clobbered. But even though I don't want to say it, I think Rogue might have his moment. And this will prevail. And I think this might be a Pish championship. That's my thoughts.
Right on. So you're going with the 2, 3, and wait. 2, 3, and
He's
5.
going with the 1.
The
Oh no! Yeah, for Pocahontas in space, he's saying G-Nets is gonna win, Mange is gonna win, Pumbas is gonna win, and Rogue is gonna win.
Yeah,
okay.
I think it's going to be pretty dominant.
All
We'll
right.
see.
Well, Nate, I'm just gonna come out and say it. You're wrong. I mean, looking directly at this lineup, I know for a fact Del Caver is gonna clutch it out because Cassidy chokes in offseason every time. G-Net's an imposition. Avatar teammates. Guys have gotten to know each other pretty well over the course of this season. Imposition knows very well that RNG likes to fuck G-Nets, and he's going to use that to his advantage. Imposition's pulling that one out. I think Mange is going to beat Scowls just because Mange is here, and I don't want to hurt his feelings. I think that BFF is going to probably drop it to Merkin due to some crazy thing that he can't anticipate or doesn't want to anticipate, and Merkin's going to take that one. And I think that Rogue JT is going to clobber. So I'm saying that Kawasaki Ninja's rules taking it 3-2, taking victories in the 1, the 2, and the 4.
Huh. Bold predictions. I'm gonna go with I will try to. I think Piss is gonna win in the 2, 3, and 4 for sure, which automatically gives them, the win more than likely because Cassidy and Delcaver is going to be close. I think Clobbered will beat Rogue just due to the insane PR discrepancy that we have here. It's almost double. And I could see Delcaver beating Cassidy, but, that one's a toss-up. So, I mean, at worst, I see it probably, they've got their 3 wins and their 12 points, and then I think that Cassidy and Rogue will pick up the necessary points to just make sure, because it won't matter. So definitely Piss.
2 for Piss
Man.
and 1 for Kawasaki.
Yeah.
Pat, what do you think?
Oh boy, this is difficult. So, I do believe that if Rogue actually played more, he would be one of the best values in both leagues. I don't believe that Rogue cares enough about Hearthstone to put the time and energy in, unless it's about making dank memes, in which case he's really, really good at that. I think we have to give it to Clobber here, though I think that if we ever got a Rogue fully committed to Hearthstone, I think that he would crush it. I mean, he was on Team Rank 5 that won, obviously. Pumbas versus Merkin, it's the battles of the one loss for the entire season. I think this one's really close. Pumbas is a good player. The thing about Pumbas is I've had the luxury of having some conversations with him about what he thinks the new meta is going to look like, and I'm going to give it to Merkin.
That's insider info.
Shots fired.
I think Pumbas will get there eventually, but I worry about the initial card valuation skills. Scals and In Position just haven't been successful enough this season on KNR for me to go in their favor. And G-Nets, we know, is a stud player despite his season in THL right now. I can't vote against them. So I'm going to give it to Merkin and Clobbered in the 4 and the 5. I'm going to give it to Genetz and Mange in the 2 and a 3 for Piss. It comes down to Cassie versus Delcaver, and these are both exceptional players. Delcaver is 6-2 in the season. Cassie is 7-0, but I can't bet against Cassie in a new or new-ish metagame. I can't bet against that competitive instinct. I can't bet against someone that has something to prove, and I can't bet against an undefeated player. So I'm going to give it to the 1 seed for Piss, the 2 seed for Piss, the 3 seed for Piss. I think it's going to look like what Supreme was supposed to look like. And I think they're going to pull it out in the 1, 2, and 3 and lose in the 4 and the 5. And I think it will be a Piss championship, and I think it'll be a nail biter.
Yep.
All right, now we get a biased opinion here. I want to hear what Mange thinks.
Yeah, I think all of you guys talking about how close the 1 seed match will be are pretty wrong. LCS has had a great season, but Cassidy is Cassidy. I think he's proven himself to be the most dominant SHL player in this league currently, and he's going to pull through. Where Doghouse, or not Doghouse, I'm sorry, where they have an advantage is with Clobbered over Rose in the 5. I love Rose. He's like a little brother to me, but he's not a good SHL player, and he does not prepare well. Clobbered, on the other hand, has had a great season and has almost a 200 PR favorite, or a 200 PR advantage over him.
Yeah.
So Clobbered's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
When I played Scows 44 in week 3, we played a very, very tight series that could have gone either way. And I think that he is absolutely capable of winning that series against me. So I think if they want to win the championship, if Kawasaki wants to win a championship, they need to win in the 5, they need to win in the 3, and they need to hope that they upset one of the avatars.
Right.
I think that Genetz has a significant advantage. But it doesn't mean that he can't. I think watch him in week 3. Yeah, I think that if they can pull it off in the 5 seed and the 3 seed, and then just get one more, they have a shot. That being said, we're going to sweep them 5 games.
The truth
There it
comes
is.
out. After long bullshit. Mange.
That said, we're going to mess them up.
We are going to. I can even say it.
Well, I'll lie to you and say I'm rooting for you, man.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Yeah, the TLDR is they need a lot of good stuff to happen.
They need
Yeah.
like a nerf to happen right before the playoffs or something.
Oh wait.
Right.
Oh.
In actuality, they are very strong, and they have just as good of a chance as you do win.
Right.
I think that if we were to take them lightly from our side, it would be a very big mistake. So we're looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to my match. And you know what? I hope at the end of the day that I get to raise another trophy. But if not, that's cool too.
Right.
All right. Before our hat gets ahead of himself, I am going to go ahead and say that we are going to do an SHL Season 2 review about how we liked changes, we didn't like changes, what could be changed. Looking for a lot of audience participation in this, so chat, be active so we can read the chat as we go. And then after we do the review of Season 2, we're going to go ahead and jump into Season 3 and start a dialogue on what can be improved further for this upcoming season. As an SHL board member myself, I'm speaking for myself, and if Salt wants to add anything, he can. We are very, very committed to making SHL Season 3 the best season we possibly can, and we'll be doing so in any way that we can, taking a lot of community feedback to do so. So starting off the review, our hat, why don't you take the head on this one and tell us what the review or what changes that you think should be made?
So wait, why are you calling me out as the person that's going to get ahead of himself? Why are you doing that? Are you making head jokes? Is that what's going on?
Yes, that is what's going on. I made 2 of them.
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
I'm gonna interrupt real quick. Mange has to dip. he's got to go. Mange, I don't know what it is that you have to do. Just thank you for joining us tonight. Leave your, if you can, leave your fucking Skype on and mute it, so I don't have to redo your cam, so that shit doesn't go all over the place. But we'll let you go to wherever it is you have to go.
Bye, Mange.
Thanks, man.
Mange.
Probably left already.
He's gone.
But sorry to interrupt. Continue.
Yeah, no problem. It's I was just banging my head against the desk trying to think of what to say. So I think SHL and THL need to be differentiated in some kind of major way beyond just the formats. And we talked about this a lot in the public board meeting last night, where I think there was some really good dialogue. The community is going to associate the two, and I think some kind of meaningful separation, as well as unique SHL content and really more visibility from the SHL side of things. I don't want it to feel like a little brother league. I want to hear some SHL only players or SHL primary players over in the Discord. Discord is the best thing both leagues have to offer, the best part of this community, in my humble opinion. I'm in there pretty much every day, or at least as often as I can. And I strongly recommend people getting in there. But I want to find some way for SHL to feel like a separate entity and like the community to be the intersection of the two, and not just THL along with this new thing that's going on.
And yeah, we have been talking about more transparency. I'm not sure. We may expand to 10 teams. We're still thinking about that, and that's of course a season 3 thing. As far as transparency and stuff goes, with a league that's at this point it's less than half the size, issues come up far less. So maybe we can do, and of course I get, me and Lemur would get with Jerry on this. Maybe once every 3 or 4 weeks for a board meeting, or 2 weeks. I don't think that some sort of open meeting is necessary, every week. But I mean, we can work that out later, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different structure, it's a different environment. It's the reason the THL board needed so much transparency is because so much shit went down.
Right. Right.
And that's not going to happen in SHL. I don't mean like board structure. I mean just the leagues need to have some kind of separate identity, and the standards of the community are going to link the two no matter what. So just some kind of the same focus on the content, the same focus on the stories and the players and all that. And I think what you all have put together tonight is a really, really good focus on that. And the Friday Night Frenzy, I'm really glad we have some SHL-specific content going on, because we got some good matches on there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we do. Like, you wouldn't see these matches in THL because Kawasaki Ninja's rule is basically SHL exclusive at this point. So it's really interesting to see some different players face off against some of THL's supposed greats.
Yeah, it's our best kept secret against the THL heavyweights, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Super Bowl.
Right.
I think it'd be pretty exciting as well for the fact that K&R has made such a deep run as well. It's really good to see that we can integrate and develop that talent within the SHL confine. And maybe we'll see some crossover success into THL as well. But the great thing is we don't need to. SHL can be successful on its own. A team doesn't have to come to THL to be legitimized. I want it to be like 2 separate conferences, right? Like NFC, AFC, National League, American League. That kind of excitement and that kind of unique challenge, but equal challenge on both sides, seems like the sort of thing that would really drive both forward.
Yep.
And apparently, according to chat, according to Delcaver, Cassidy is going to be playing against him Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern. I really hope we can get that streamed.
Get on Friday Frenzy.
I really hope so. I know Beaker is out for most of the week, but
He said he'd be back for Friday Frenzy.
right. So hopefully we get all of that in there. I would love to see all 5 matches, if possible, but
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty difficult to get all 5 lined up on the weekend, but the more the better.
Yeah.
Okay. Getting slightly more back into what we were talking about. Saul, how did you like the changes that were made this season? How would you improve moving forward? for the league as a whole?
I like the 5-man teams. I think it spread things out a little more. Like last season, everything seemed too close. With teams in first falling all the way, to dead last in like a 1 week, 2 week span. And the 5 people seem to spread that out a little bit, and I like that. Movement's great, it's exciting, but I thought that was too much. So I was definitely happy with the 5-man teams. And 8 teams was good, but it still feels small. So maybe expanding just a little bit, wouldn't be a bad thing. I don't want to. Obviously, SHL wouldn't go to 20 teams like THL, but adding a team or two, because depending on who's staying and who's leaving, if 10 teams is possible, I think that would be great.
Yeah. What's crazy is, every small piece of expansion requires a lot of commitment. If we're at 8 teams, you can't just add 1 team. You got to add 2. You got to add 1 to both divisions. So if we're adding 2 teams, that's 10 players. If we want to go further than that, move to 12, we got to find 20 players, 4 new captains, 20 committed players who understand the rules, who show up and play. What's that?
They have to mesh as well. Like, team composition matters when it comes to like emotional stuff as much as it matters when it comes to playing good Hearthstone, because if you don't get along as a team, you're not going to do well. So you have to find people that play well together, not just people who are going to register on the site.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm happy to see what I'm seeing in chat right now, because it mirrors exactly what my thoughts. Like, I'd rather to see it grow in larger steps, not too quick. From 8 to 10 is nothing, right? We have 8 right now. Let's see 12 teams next season. What we're finding out more and more from SHL players is that it is equally, if not more, fun than THL, right? So there's no reason why some THL teams can't take what they have and set something up over in SHL. Now, I know it's double the commitment, so there's an issue there. I know you yourself admitted concerns with how much time investment that is, but I would love to see some veteran captains whip up a team and get something moving in SHL, just to grow that league that is equally as fun, equally as competitive. Just watch it grow to what THL has grown to now. It'd be incredible to see both leagues parallel rather than one trying to catch up to the other, or this and that, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, 12 would be ideal. At this point, I don't know what the total interest is, and since the season's, closing out, what teams, are staying, etc. So we'll have to gauge that after the season. But ideally, I would like 12, but I would take 10 if that's, the only option.
Sure.
Well, I would think there's a lot of players out there that are joining both leagues that are really interested in participation. Week 4 of THL, we made a new team in 48 hours, and we had 13 people sign up to volunteer to be on it. I think there's a pretty significant amount of interest in growth, and SHL would be a really great place to put it. I don't know if THL needs to grow at the moment, and SHL definitely has a lot of opportunity there.
I would agree with that. Also, at Direst Bear in chat, SHL will not make a transition to Wild. It'll be standard to maintain that competitive feel just as much as THL does. That's one thing that we're pretty steadfast on.
And even if let's say that Blizzard, they've stated in the next year that they're going to support Wild more. I think that a lot of players in THL don't have a full Wild collection. Most of the people that I talk to, dust a lot of Yeah, they dust a lot of wild stuff. I personally have everything. I don't need to dust anything, and I don't. So I have all of the cards. And I love to play wild. I
I
generally
know.
play. I play wild to about rank 5 just for quest every month. But I don't think that that's feasible in the league right now.
Maybe we can do like a Wild Wicked Wednesday or something.
That would
Um,
that would be fun, but then again, if we look at chat, nobody has wild cards in chat.
yeah, well, I mean, we've got a vocal minority in chat. I would be interested to see if we'd get enough people that would be
That's true.
interested in Wild,
I
especially.
think
If there
I
was a
think there'll be a
wild
lot of.
Wicked Wednesday, it would probably be the first Wicked Wednesday I participated in. I would make time to
Yeah,
make sure I'm free for that.
Right.
yeah. We're going to see some really significant divergence in the format this year, and even more so next year. The first year of Wild is just going to feel like old standard because it is. After the two formats get really really different and the card pools double and triple in size for Wild, that's where you're really going to get these degenerate decks that feel interesting and fun and different than what we can do in standard. Right now,
Mhm.
it's still an offshoot of what we're used to doing.
Right, right. Yeah, it's like and I played a lot of wild last season, and all it was Pirate Warrior with ship's cannon,
Yeah, well,
or insert pirate deck with ship's cannon. I think I made rank 5 a month or so ago with ship's cannon, pirate hunter. You know, because I needed gold hunter and hunter sucks. So anything's possible with patches over there.
Well, I'm really excited to see what you guys change for SHL and how the interest grows and how the league
Yeah,
grows. Hopefully, we get a lot of response and develop.
If you
yeah,
have any, just a closing thought on this. If you have anything that you think would be pertinent for the SHL board to know, reach out to myself. Reach out to Salt. We have an SHL board email, which is shlboard
at
at
teamhearthleague.com.
teamhearthleague.com.
Yep.
And you can email us there. Whatever you can do to get in contact with us and give us your ideas. We're looking for that feedback to improve both ourselves and the league as a whole moving forward.
Yep.
If I could suggest one thing to the SHL community rather than to the board, um, step forward and produce some content. I'd love to see some blogs coming from SHL, some player interviews from SHL, more streams from SHL. It really brings the league to life when you guys are contributing and everybody's pitching in to things forward. So
yeah, I mean,
if you got any ideas, speak up and start contributing. We'd love to see some more stuff.
and we
Yeah.
might help you develop content. We will never turn down content. If you send in an article, we'll help you edit it if it's a little rough. But so far, every article that's been sent in has been posted. Even
Yep.
Casty's shit meme of preseason storylines. So if we'll
Correct.
post that, we'll post anything.
100%. So, Lemur Knackle, any last words you want to talk about the future of SHL before we wrap things up with some top dogs?
No, I think Lemur hit the last thing on the head as far as if anybody has anything that they would like to talk about, since we're not yet having, open board meetings and stuff like that yet. Yeah, just send in any emails with concerns or ideas, or if you want to have a team, or if you want to be on a team, get yourself out there so we can get expanding and make sure everybody has a team.
Sweet. So, let's come down the home stretch here. It wouldn't be after this all settles without some top dogs. I'm going to pull up our THL 5 seeds here.
You pull that up, I'll be right back.
Oh, salt.
I know.
Dog.
Well, I don't have wireless headphones, so I can't piss while I'm on stream.
Dude, I have to piss so bad. I'm so envious, and here I am having to talk about 5 seeds.
Should have brought a cup.
Should have brought a cup. So we have our THL 5 seeds here. Top 5 starting at number 5, we see the Harry Generals. No surprise to see Mr. Gern Blanston. We're 1 week away from the final week. He's standing 1 point over Gemini. These are two people who I would expect to be, if not secured in the top 5, competing for one of those spots. Just given how strong they've always been in THL. Gemini's really adapting to this meta, which I'm surprised, but I'm happy to see. And Gurren Blanson's doing what we. Drutted NWA, another person that we're not surprised to see here. 5% win rate. Took a 3-1 win over Gemini. Probably, was the reason why she's been knocked out of the top 5 this week. But, he's been a stud for NWA for a while now. Sunshine. Now, he's been kicking ass all season. This was my biggest surprise, my favorite story to follow, because Team Golden Wisp has been looking for this type of ringer, and Sunshine, though he's been on the team for this long, hasn't been filling that role, but he's stepped into those shoes. He's been kicking ass. 3-1 Donnie Wrench, which isn't something to brag about, but ending 58%. Well, not ending, because there's one more week. At this point at 58%, with a pretty competitive 5 seed this season, that's outstanding. Looking at AO from Defias Brotherhood, 24 points in second. This doesn't surprise me. We saw his debut in SHL and a couple games that he played in THL last season. Strong from the jump. 3-2ing Scritch, it's a close match, but even though he's 4-4 on the season, just brings in the points and supposed to for Defias. And lastly, the Anarchist in the number 1 spot, even having earned a DQ and how that usually kind of knocks you down a peg on the top dogs charts because you didn't play to earn your points. He's been earning his points. He's been kicking ass, doing what he's supposed to for Avatar. 3-2ing K2. I don't know much about K2, but 6-2 on the season. No other 5 seed can say the same. And he's earned his spot up here. When we talk about things on that list that surprise us, I'm really, I give Donnie a lot of shit. I'm really happy to see him, in the top 11 here. I don't know if he's been working his ass off to improve. I would doubt that.
Well, I don't know. I will say that we never heard anything to the opposite effect, as the season went on. So I think he's doing a lot better.
I have a really, really important question now that I'm looking at this 5-sheet chart.
Sure.
How has Vedny won 3 games and wait? Never mind, I'm stupid.
You're looking at game wins.
Cool, man.
I will say that Vedny subbed for my team, and he won. And if I recall correctly, he actually played 2 matches, right? Didn't he sub in and beat Donnie Wrench? I thought that happened.
He subbed
for Giuseppe. Yeah, he subbed for 1600 Dust, and he subbed in for Ziggy and won his 5 seed match. So let me look this up because I want to know if Vedny is 2-0 on the season. Vedny is 2-0 on the season.
Oh shit. All right, so we got to slap Erden on the wrist here for.
But he said in chat, Vedny only has 1 week because it's a giant pain in the ass to make people have multiple teams.
Okay.
Gotcha.
But so I want to point out, Vedny has won on week 4 and week 7.
Nice.
And trust me that his decks are not current. Trust me when I say that because he subbed for my team. But I wanted to say, if you're looking for a 5 seed, he's an iconic guy. He's definitely interesting.
He's very interesting.
He's won both matchups he's played.
Good for him.
Just be aware of that.
Sweet. And as always, I'm always rooting for new faces. I'm happy to see Scritch and Brentley performing well, being some new faces. K2 landing himself in the middle. pretty cool to see as well. I don't know. Any other things that interest you guys for these 5 seeds here?
You know, the Avatar has actually performed pretty decently in both leagues.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The thing that interests me most about the 5 seeds, though, is moving on to the 4 seeds where you see, we got my boy Arcane THL on Initium Novum, the Latin word that I have trouble pronouncing. He is 16 on the season, new captain. Unfortunately, lost 0-3 to Zab this week, but he is kicking ass and taking names, as my good friend Nate would say. Next up, we got that Swanky Tiger getting a 3-0 victory over me this week because I'm really bad at Hearthstone.
Can confirm.
Yeah, he is in the number 4 spot with a 58% win percentage, pulling in those points for his team. Iridan coming in at the number 3 spot for the 4 seeds. Even with a DQ victory, Iridan is still doing very well. 3-1ing Force of Will, which people were thinking was some like big force in the THL and SHL for some reason. But Iridan putting him in his place. Number 2, we got Brasky. My boy Brasky sitting at a 64% win percentage, taking out the not too shabby Bork this week, 3-2 in a close series. He's on Swagoy, and you need to look at this guy for next season. He's doing work. And the very familiar 4 seed number 1 face, Crayon, on Entropy, having a 22-10 record, 69%, 3-0 expected. This man is the truth.
69%.
69% win rate. He better not play another series.
Yeah. He's a 2 seed this week, by the way, so he's doing just fine.
Oh yeah.
I always said, man, I played with Miles for many seasons, and I think that he would do fine as a 1 seed. I mean, you know, the kid is really good.
Yeah, I mean, he's got his PR is in the 400s, right? It's 421.
I mean, he's
that
a low
guy.
end, you know, on a bad team, he's low, you know, he would be low end, you know, obviously 1 seed, but I think he could play up there for sure. And, you know, when I had him in you know, as my 4 seed, it was unfair to the other 4 seeds that he played against, you know, more times than not.
Yeah, I mean, he was a potent 3 seed this season, and then D. Lyman passed him because D. Lyman was somehow a 4 seed, which is ridiculous. But now you look at that team composition over there at Entropy. Who's the 4 seed this week? Is it Phenom or Smoked Salmon?
It's no telling that's they've got that old that old team
4x4?
Yeah, that old team rank 5 feel where everybody played in the 1 seed at some point in the season.
I mean, when your 3 and 4 seeds have both had top 200 legend finishes, you got a pretty good thing going on.
Yeah, for sure.
I would also like to point out on this list that we've got a person who's usually toward the top, Josh Sampson, at a 34% win rate, which is very, very interesting for him, as he is usually a top 4 seed contender.
He is touted as above average in his seed. I will say that.
Yeah,
and he has not been having the most successful season. Even this guy called P.H. Lemur has a better record than he does, and that's hard to do.
And Brunson has the same record as him. Think about that for a minute.
Oh boy.
Oof.
Yeah, and Brunson DQ'd last week. Is that fact?
He did. He slept through his match.
All right. I mean, that's cool. At least he was, you know, up front.
Yeah, and I mean, there are a couple stories here as well that I want to point out. First is the rise of Arcane THL. He did really well in the Yogg Champs. The Yogg Champs disappeared, but he stayed. He's a new captain, very enthusiastic league community participant. He's in Discord a lot. See him on the Facebook page a lot. He's almost always the first person to like your status in the THL group. But also, it's 5-3 over what last season was 1-6. That's pretty incredible. And the other story I want to talk about, also in the Black Division, is the fall from grace of Jesus C. What happened?
We've never seen this from him.
Nah.
I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. He doesn't have decks given to him, and if he has decks given to him, they're shit.
I swear to God, I tried to get this guy on my team at the beginning of the season, and he was like, "I don't build my own decks. Is that okay?" And I said, we got you. You don't have to do anything. Just have the same record as you always do." And I don't know that the team that he ended up with,
Five Brotherhood will give him decks, apparently, and those decks are not the decks that Jesus is comfortable playing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Defias, I think, in a lot of ways, was a team that seemed to have all the pieces that didn't just come together, like you were talking about earlier, Lemur. You need to have a team, not just 5 good players, and the team, from the outside perspective, just doesn't seem to have the chemistry that one would expect from a group like that.
Right. And that's fair. That's that's a risk that you take sometimes.
Successful seasons. Like if we hadn't had a good group dynamic and group chemistry, we would not have had 2 successful seasons.
Yeah, I mean, your group dynamic was so good they kicked you off the team and then asked for you to come back.
Right.
Exactly. Hey, they needed a head of their team.
Yeah.
Well,
when we take a snapshot of this, we're seeing black and blue dominate the 4. Pink really struggling here. Yellow. Eridan is the only one to make yellow proud over here.
yeah, he's the only one in yellow above a 50% win rate, and and pink. It's only Bork, and he's at 51%. Pink in general, I'll speak to Rockbase. Last season, he was 5-2 in the regular season, and it's not worked out the way that we want to this season as well. The meta has changed so much that what you could do last season is bring a lot of smorky decks. There were despite there being fewer pirates, there were more decks where you could just go face or curve out. In this meta, most of the Conquest meta has been control based. There's a lot of Reno decks, a lot of mid range decks, a lot of Miracle Rogue was very good for a while. And the change in the meta has been really difficult for a lot of the lower seeded players to adapt to.
Hey,
right,
guys.
And we can attest to like last week on Salty Saturday, where we had some 5-seed action, and Drudded played Gemini, and he brought some. I mean, you got 5 seeds bringing 2 Reno decks and another control deck now, where that like Hat was saying, that just didn't happen before.
I think it's
So
for the better.
I will also point out I was wrong about no one else in yellow being above 50%. Sage was lurking down there at 14th spot in the spreadsheet because it's sorted by points.
Wasn't he last for a long time?
I believe he started off 0-4 or 1-3.
He didn't win a series for a very long time, and now he's creeping up there.
Yeah.
And Force of Will is he's at 48%. He's 4-4 on the season.
Same with Zab.
So that's not horrible. I mean,
Sage, prop to you for making your comeback here.
Turn it around.
Yeah, he's got a long way to go still if he's going to go through the playoffs.
All right, guys, we're running on an almost 2-hour show. Let's get it rolling.
Let's get it rolling.
How did that happen? Let's talk about 3 seeds.
All right, I will do the 3 seeds. In at number 5, we have Dire Spare. He just couldn't get it done against me last week. Lost 2-3. In 4th, I'll go ahead and say this, my biggest surprise, we got Randy.
Who?
Cutthroat, 5-3 on the season, and he beat Bulk last week. I have no idea what he's doing here. Very surprised, and I'm apparently 3rd at a 4-4 record, so whatever. JB is 2nd, and we have, Jesus Christ, fuck you, Parker. I mean, just down here, just jamming on us. The elementary school, the Fisher Price dunk, it's ridiculous, man. Get this guy out of the 3 seed. It's not fair. 77% win rate, 8-0 on the season. And I mean, he's still going against, he played Phenom last week, who's a great player, dumpstered him. So business as usual for Parker. Good stuff. I'm very surprised now, as far as the beginning of the season, but JB's having a very good season for Hearthstone Academy. I think we slept on that team, preseason because, nobody knew anything about them, but, I'm glad to see their team having a really good year, for sure. Any surprises here? I mean, we got Jedi right about in the middle. He started out really good too, if I'm not mistaken. I think his record was pretty good at the beginning of the season. I could be wrong. And Boom Boom Hall at 1-4 now.
Yeah, I
It-
mean, he was a late season addition, but
he
Boom.
carried a reputation with him though.
Yeah, I mean, he was a pretty solid 1 or 2 seed last season for Defias, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
I'm not sure what exactly happened there. He hit legend this season well before I did, and I've always been pretty happy with him as a player and pretty impressed by what I saw. But I guess it's in the Conquest format again. It's a different beast, and there are a lot of surprises on this list. If I'm being honest,
Yeah, there
Lemur,
are.
are we allowed to talk about them? Do we have the time?
Yeah, talk about it.
Well, okay. So Jing holding down 4-4. I'm really happy to see that happen. If I recall correctly, he was he the late season addition and the new captain, or is that Gideon?
Mm,
Gideon.
Danger Zone. Yeah, so Jing is doing all right. Comp at 3-4, again, pretty surprising. He's always been pretty solid as a 3 seed at 387 PR. Imbalk, good lord, what happened to Imbalk? Imbalk is better than 1-7 by such a huge margin.
Look at his game wins and game losses, though.
Yeah, all of the matches are close. I just don't know what's happening. That he can do the 4 games, but he can't win that 5th. It's really surprising to see because Imbalk has always been a very strong player and a high value pickup. I'm not really sure what's going on over there, but it's just so strange.
That's my me and Imbolt kind of have the same thing going on this season, except he has, I want to say, 6 2-3s now, if I'm not mistaken, that haven't gone his way. My 4 losses are all 2-3, and then I won last week 3-2. So a lot of the games, they just, I don't know. I didn't really like the format before. I hope it gets a little bit better, moving forward. But it sucks losing, turn 4, turn. I think I killed Bear like turn 5, game 5. In the 5th game, and that's not fun for anybody. And that's just how it is, a lot of times. In the prior, pre-nerf, Pirates.
Yeah, I mean, and I think ultimately you see in the 3 seed a story of a lot of consistency. The win rates are pretty tightly banded with a few outliers. Most people are in that the 40 to 50% range. There's a lot of close matches here, and you've been on the right side of it, and Imbalk has been on the wrong side of it, unfortunately. But
But 16 game wins for his team. You can't, for him to be 1-7, you can't ask for more than that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the best 1-7 you could ever see, but
That is insane.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got better than a whole lot. He's as good as Kick Tripod, who's 3-5.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a
Jedi Ninja.
1-7 that, boy golly, you can be proud of.
Yeah.
We're not going to see the same next season. There's no way.
No.
He'll be above 50%.
I would think so.
But let's take a look at our 2 seeds now.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and go through these. Look at our top 5. I have Cheesy, who we expect to see here. Doing great things for Supreme. 18 and 17. These are not the numbers that I would have guessed, preseason for Cheesy. 5 and 3 is more like him. I would put him at 6 and 2 or 7 and 7 and 1 before that. But he's having a good season. There's no doubt about that. Houdini for Parallax. He did well last season. He's doing better this season. It's nice to see Jerry have some quality players on his team. Him always deserved it and always was here. But to be honest, they're doing great. I'm really rooting for those guys. It's nice to see some of their.
That was one of their 2 bright spots last week.
Yep. So we take a look at Alec. In my opinion, this is where he always deserves to be. At a high seed, at a high rank. He's 53% on the season. Took a loss to Kungmar last week, but it's a good player, so you can't. At 18 and 16, 23 points on the season. He's doing well for Golden Boy. So I'm really looking for this season that they'll shine, hopefully. But we have Kungmar, who this is his rookie season, right?
It's Kungmar's an animal.
5-1, solid player. He's really proven himself really quickly. Taking down some big names and establishing himself as a reliable player that you can really count things. But on top of him, me, myself, and I, 27 points. Another vet on another team that we had no expectations of because we didn't know anything about these guys. 6-2 in the season, 62% win rate, 121 of his game, just kicking ass. Putting Hearthstone Academy on the map as somebody to not. I think they're going to go far in the playoffs. I really have my eye on them. I'm curious to see what they do. Surprises here. I really wanted to ask you guys, these top 10 players for the... How many of these people did you expect to see here?
I mean, I expected Pink Samus up there, and he has been away for 2 weeks, and he had a sub. The sub went 1-1. But I John's a really good player.
I think 4 of them. I think you expect, or 5. You expected to see Alec, Cheesy, Pink Samus, Smoked Salmon, and either Houdini or Door Smash. So I think though those are pretty consistently very, very solid players. I don't think anyone saw Me, Myself, and I coming. I don't even think Me, Myself, and I saw him coming.
I'm with you, Lemur. This top 10 was a big surprise for me because you look outside of that. You look at people like Old Greg and Gideon Echo and Hector Howe, Dunamis. Well, Dunamis, he ended his season early. Cassidy. It's interesting to see this top 10 play out the way that it is, but it's cool to see some shake-up in names and see expectations kind of go a different way.
Well, and I think it's important to note there are some surprising percentages here because of the amount of substitution that have gone on in the 2 seed.
Yep.
Kungmar has only played 6 weeks, and he is number 2 in points. That is absurd. 68% win percentage. Me, Myself, and I has had a very, very impressive season. He started off 6-0, which was pretty crazy. But also, if you look down a little bit, Pink Samus at 70%, Thor Smash at 65%. These are players that they had played that last match. They'd probably be in the top 5. It's pretty close, and there are some familiar names. I'm just surprised. Hector Howell again, same record as Imbolc. I'm not sure what happened there. Old Greg is a total ringer, an old school THL veteran, and he just didn't have the success this season. I'm surprised that this shook out the way it did, with, I guess, the exception of Alec and Cheesy. Houdini, Thor Smash, and Pink Samus have been pretty consistent, and Salmon is a strong player as well. Yep. I'm surprised he's only at 4-4.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you go up against Cheesy last week, that's gonna hurt your record.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and there's been discussion about the blue and pink division, about the teams being the stronger teams being balanced against each other, and that might be impacting the results here. But I see a lot of really high success in the 2 seeds in 3 divisions. Black just really didn't put anybody on the map.
No, Black just propped up Yellow, right?
That's
what it looks like, right? No, I mean it's fact. If you either the gold 2 seeds are OP as fuck, or the black 2 seeds are not.
I'm gonna say it's somewhere in the middle there.
All right.
Also worth noting, as Cassidy pointed out in chat, Me, Myself, and I has had a fantastic season, but it's come mostly as a 3 seed. And
That's
the
true.
spreadsheet does not reflect that.
Yep, and we've had a bunch of players that have moved up and moved down over the season. Smoke Salmon was a 2 seed for most of the season, but, well, this is actually a really nice segue into the 1 seeds if we want to throw that up on screen.
I don't delegitimize myself and I doing that. I mean, we gave Aroy mad props last season for having such a good record, and he went from the 4 seed, and maybe played one game in the 1 seed last season.
Yeah.
So I don't want to take anything away from Spaghetti Walrus up there, for sure.
Well, and A-Roy only lost to Slimsh, if I recall correctly.
Exactly, so
Ain't no shame in that.
yeah, so I do understand that most of the wins came at a lower seed, but I don't want to take nothing from them.
Yeah. You ready for the 1 seeds, Nate?
100%.
The 1 seed.
Okay, we got a bunch of 1 seed stuff going on here, but let's start with our top 5. And I will say, 5th place is a 3-way tie in points, but it's decided by a really definitive win percentage. Loch Ness, 6-2, right? One of those wins was a DQ, but he's played 25 games and won 19 of them. Ridiculous.
Insane.
Right? That's 76% win rate is crazy. The second highest on the list. We're going to move up to A-Roy, the role player from last season, graduated from the 4 seed to the 1 seed. He's 6-2 as well, and he's only lost to Brewski and I forget who else who he lost to, but it was someone that knew what they were doing. And Brewski is our number 3. Hearthstone Academy, again, their 1-2-3 is very, very strong, and Brewski 7-1 on the season, 66% win rate. That's really, really impressive as well. Markshire having a hell of a season as well, 7-1 overall. Got a sweep this week, 68% win rate. He is the shining star on the Harry Generals and showing us why he was considered such a strong player to begin with. He's just so consistent over time. And then you look at number 1. We should point out D. Lyman started as a 4 seed. D. Lyman also has won 80% of his games. He's 8-0, and he swept Slimsh this week.
He did.
What the fuck?
Even him sweeping Slimsh was really, really surprising to me. I didn't expect that to happen at all.
Yeah, but Slimsh brought Priest, right?
I mean,
did he not bring Priest?
I don't know what Slimsh brought. I know he's having a very unslimshy season because you can see
he brought Priest.
He's 5-3 in the season. He's under a 50% win rate in games. What has happened to our manlet?
Well, he probably brought Priest 3 times. Is what he probably did.
Priest has its merits this season.
I'm just fucking around.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Slimsh's deck choices aren't working out the way that he was hoping for. It's really surprising to see him, but I will say it's not surprising to see D. Lyman at the top. We have to clarify that he was a 4 seed because it's important information, but we don't need to clarify that D. Lyman is a fucking rock star. He deserves the 1 seed spot. He's working his way back up to 500 PR very quickly. He's won 24 out of 30 games, an unbelievable performance, and I will tell you that he is the person I least want to face. Because when I played Entropy, they had a different 1 seed, and I felt good that was not D. Lyman.
So he's wait, is he overrated now or underrated? Because I have a hard time keeping up.
I think he's appropriately rated. I think D. Lyman is an opponent to be feared no matter what seed you play him in. And if you have any doubts about that, just look to the far right of who he played this week and what he did, and look at that 80% win rate. That's saying it's more than just RNG in play. It's more than just who he's playing against. It's what he's doing with the decks that he's bringing. So I'm happy to see him at the top, but I'm not going to say that I'm surprised.
Right.
And we have a lot of really solid returning players. Some that took a season off. Katoda, Hot Asian Girl, and Super Sam, right around the middle there, all above 50% win rate. And really, it's the 1 seeds as usual. It's hard to be above or below a 50% by all that much, and most players are going to be in that 5-3, 4-4, 3-5 band, with only a few standouts, and those are our top 5 players.
Right. Yeah, I think 45 to 50% win rate is about as much as you can ask for.
Yeah, I'm okay with my 54%, but getting pretty jealous of those guys all the way up at the top.
80%, yeah.
Whew. I'll take a Markshire 68%. That's fine. I'll settle for that.
Right.
The 33%. Wait, what? Who said that?
It's what?
Jeanette's at 33%. Having a killer season over at Avatar.
Somehow the lowest performing full season 1 seed in the league, lower than Mange, who is playing meme decks and advertising it.
And beat our hat 3-2.
Listen, I'm not saying that I wasn't beaten. I'm saying that I incurred Mange's wrath week 2. He said he was going to fuck me up week 8, and here we are. He beat me with handlock.
Right on, like real handlock.
Mage loves his
Yes.
handlock.
I'm not going to share more
I
information.
mean, R-Hat, you had to know that you were headed down a bad road when he said that.
Mange is a competitor, and when the fire gets lit, just know you're in. Anytime you see him after a chair league match, go ahead and see how competitive that guy is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but someday I hope I get to hear him after a win.
Nah, that'll never happen. Anyway, moving on. We had a great episode of ATSS, I think. We got to look at the different ways and hows and whats and whys of the finals week matchup that is to come between Kawasaki Ninja's Rule and the one, the only, the Piss Boys. And I think that overall, it was a very, very productive episode. We got a lot done. We got our predictions out of the way. And now all it comes to is for people to get these matches streams, us to watch these streams and watch the drama unfold before our eyes. I'm super pumped for it. I'm super excited. Guys, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, real quick, Lemur, picture you sent me. What's going on with that?
Oh, I'm playing Javert in a production of Les Mis.
Heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's as interesting as that can get. Well, Lemur, do you have any words to send off all of our fam who's watching tonight?
I do. Thank you all for watching so very much. Just know that Piss is going to go down into hell in the curse that is the Team Rank 5 curse. I'm Lemur HS. I'm joined by R-Hat, NACL, Nade, and the one, the only, the Legless Wonder Mage. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day.
I can't. He called him the Lego Wonder. I got nothing to say.
Well, that's what Salt has to say.
I got nothing. I got yeah. I got nothing.
Lemur, thanks for joining us. Ridiculous Hat, thank you very much, as always, for sharing your insight. Anything you'd like to say before we head out here?
I want to make a joke about Piss getting flushed, but I think they're going to win, so I don't know where to go from here.
Oh, God.
But
Yeah. Well, I want to say props to the old school After the Salt Settles crew for getting the gang back together. So much fun. It was worth the gaping head wound from last week to get this together. And yeah, I'm really excited for the future of SHL, THL, and this show.
Cool. Yeah, it was a
Me
lot
too.
of fun. It was a lot of fun to be back here. I cannot anticipate another time where I'm going to have a free evening to do this again, but I will always enjoy watching the VOD, seeing what you guys have to talk about. I'll speak on behalf of Mange. I don't think he's talking about chicken and gravy, biatch. And for the rest of y'all, have a good night, and good luck to all of you in the SHL finals.
Yeah.
Yo, Kawasaki!
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Later, y'all.